All right, everybody, welcome to the Fantasy Football Week 10 wrap-up show with the Fantasy Sports Boss. Wow, just a wild day. There's a lot to talk about today. In the last couple of weeks, the wrap-ups, I thought personally were kind of boring. There weren't a lot of injury news to talk about, not as many big, colossal player performances, but we got all of that today and then some. So before I go any further, hit that subscribe, hit that notification button. I think I'm just about 10 shy of 1,000 subscribers. So 1,000 is always a benchmark, and I really appreciate that, guys. And like I said, once I get to the 1,000 subscribers, I'll be able to access more features, being able to play clips and things like that. And also, I'll have the super chat available as well. So I appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you very much. Michael P. Yeah, it was a crazy day. This one ranks up there for sure. And the biggest story, of course, is Cooper Kupp. Sean McVay just met with the media, and it does not sound good. And that last video that I just put up discussing the Kupp injury, and it is an ankle injury. So we're talking about a couple of things. It could be a broken ankle. It could be let me shut the TV off too, so I don't have that feedback, the color. It could be ligament damage, could be a high ankle sprain. Any of those scenarios, obviously the broken ankle would be the worst because then he'd be out for the season. But high ankle sprain is, usually 3 to 4 weeks. Ligament damage, maybe a little bit longer than that. So, this one could go anywhere. And Michael, I had insane days today in fantasy. I won both of my leagues going away. It wasn't even close. I had Justin Fields going in both of my leagues today because Lamar Jackson is on the bye. I had Aaron Jones in one league. I mean, it was just insane today. DeAndre Hopkins, I have him going today. Jonathan Taylor. We got vintage Jonathan Taylor today. Finally, it took 10 goddamn weeks of the season, but we finally got vintage Jonathan Taylor today. It was just an awesome day all around for me personally. So I'm now 6-4 in the frustrating league I was talking about all the time, and 9-2 in the Friends and Family League I've been in forever, 20 plus years. And that's the one I always really want to win because everybody talks shit and stuff. So 9-2 in that league. So I'm rolling pretty good right now. Kirk did go off today. I'm going to go through the games one by one, but I just want to go back. Salim, I'm glad I have Justin Fields too. And I'm actually at the point now where he gets the Atlanta Falcons next week too, which is just, God only knows how many points he's going to put up in that game. But I actually think I'm going to go with Fields over Lamar Jackson next week. Call me crazy, but I mean, listen, I think Fields is a top 5 guy the rest of the season. He might even be top 3. You talk about a league winner. Typically during the season, you get running back league winners. You get mostly running back league winners, but sometimes you get wide receiver league winners. Very rarely do you get quarterback league winners. Justin Fields is going to be a quarterback league winner. A rare one, but he will be one for sure. Again, getting back to Kupp, listen, any injury absence for Cooper Kupp is disastrous. I mean, it really is. The guy's tough as nails. He's had injuries, going back to college. He had the torn ACL a couple of years ago. You hate to see great players go out like that, but certainly his absence, if you're not an owner, will tip the scales in every single fantasy football league. So whoever has Kupp in your league, and they probably have a strong team because he's having another terrific season, that team now all of a sudden could be in trouble. And if you're competitive in that league, you're going to move up a rung, and that Kupp owner is going to move down a rung for sure. So, and the other thing that was ominous, I referenced how Robert Saleh spoke right off the bat as soon as the Jet game was over when Breece Hall tore his ACL, and he basically said, listen, it's not good. That's what Sean McVay just did about 10 minutes ago. So that leads me to believe it could be a broken ankle. And listen, I watched that game. He could put zero pressure or weight on that foot. So Kupp, who is tough as nails, fights through injuries, couldn't put any weight on that foot. And that is a potential huge problem for sure. Thoughts on Kyren Williams? Say, that was the other thing. I got killed on that one. Listen, I absolutely will take the hit for that one. He scored about 7 fantasy points, but they all came late in the fourth quarter. It wasn't 0, thank God. So it was 7. But, even late in the game, he showed you he can catch the football. I don't understand why they didn't use him. And, McVay himself during the week said we're going to use him. We have plans for him, and they said that prior to week 1, and it just never materialized. So, listen, I'll take the hit on that one. You know, as much as I'm proud of some of the recommendations I made this season, I'm certainly not happy about that one, and I'm fine with the abuse I'm going to get about Kyren Williams. You know, thank God it wasn't a 0. He got in late and got some points. I'm holding to Michael P. I just think, especially now with the Rams, and here's the thing too, guys, about Kyren Williams. The season's over for the Rams. You know, Stafford didn't play today. If Cooper Kupp has a serious injury, why not give it a shot with Kyren Williams? You know, Darrell Henderson's not the future. Cam Akers certainly is not the future. Kyren Williams could be the future. So I'm holding him. You know, and again, I'll take the hit. You know, 6+ fantasy points. Not going to cut it for Kyren Williams. But again, I think he's going to get run as the season goes forward. So anyway, so Cooper Kupp, that's the big one tomorrow that we're going to have to check out and see what happens with that. But I do expect there to be bad news when it comes to Kupp. Now, the other big story of the day, of course, was Justin Fields. So for the second game in a row, he went over 40 fantasy points. And that's what Lamar Jackson did back in September when it looked like he was going to win the MVP. So it's getting downright ridiculous with Fields. So he completed 12 of 20 passes, but he threw 2 touchdowns. All right. And I believe both of them went to Cole Kmet. Yeah, they did both go to Cole Kmet. You know, he did throw 1 interception that was returned for a touchdown, but the rushing yardage. I mean, right now with Justin Fields, you're getting a quarterback and a running back combined in one player. 13 carries, 147 yards, 2 more touchdowns. So I think it was 43 fantasy points, somewhere around that, 41 the week before. So, and he gets the Atlanta Falcons next week, which is just downright like ludicrous how much he's going to go off in that game. So if you are a Justin Fields owner, like I am in both of my leagues, and I have Lamar Jackson, I think I'm going Justin Fields until he cools off, if he ever cools off. And speaking of Cole Kmet, he's becoming a touchdown hound now. 4 catches, 74 yards, 2 touchdowns. A lot of his original owners have already dropped him. And listen, I get it. Things were ugly going into mid-October for Kmet, for Fields, for Darnell Mooney, for pretty much the entire offense not named Khalil Herbert, and Herbert got injured today. So I understand the people that did drop Cole Kmet, but right now he is a must start the rest of the season. Cole Kmet is a top, 7-8 fantasy tight end the rest of the season for sure. And even Darnell Mooney, 4 catches for 57 yards. He did the job again today. For the Lions, I told you all to try to buy low on Amon-Ra St. Brown. He went 10 for 119. With no TJ Hawkinson in Detroit now, Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to name his point total every week. That's how potent his numbers are going to be the rest of the way. There was that small buy low window. He had the injury, had a couple of performances when he first came back. Now that window is closed for sure. Down 7 with AJ Brown left. Do I pull it off? Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Only 7 points. If it's a standard league, it might be a little bit more, might take a little longer, but I think you're just fine. I'm 2-9. I can't afford Cooper Kupp being out. I traded him and Saquon for Tua, Higgins, Dalvin, and JT. I'm 2-9. Needed to mix things up. What do you think about this? Being out, you traded Cooper Kupp and Saquon for Tua, Higgins, Dalvin, and JT. Listen, you got a lot of good players. And here's the thing, by the way, folks. Tua Tagovailoa might win the MVP this season. And that's not hyperbole. Tua Tagovailoa is he's getting overshadowed now by Justin Fields. But Tua Tagovailoa has been unfucking believable pretty much the entire season. So, you benched the Vikings defense. Yikes. Yeah, that was a wild game. We'll get to that one. But Tua Tagovailoa has been insane. He absolutely is in that MVP consideration. I'm curious what his odds were to win the MVP prior to the season because it's going to pay off in a major way. Jamal Williams, 16 for 59. DeAndre Swift, 6 for 6. 6 for 6 for DeAndre Swift. 1 catch for 6 yards. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing, Dan Campbell, with DeAndre Swift? That was downright pathetic. It really was. He scored a touchdown. Great. 6 carries for 6 yards, 1 catch without that touchdown, it literally was a 0 performance. Cooper Kupp injury ruined my season, so see you guys next year. Michael, I'm sorry, man. Listen, if it's a high ankle sprain, he's going to come back. If it's a broken ankle, he's not going to come back. That's how the fine line is with this, so we got to see tomorrow. David Montgomery, 9 for 37. He's just got to get out of the way. Enough. But now Khalil Herbert is hurt. Excuse me. So who knows what happens there. All right, so Tampa Bay. Wow. I mean, that Tom Brady clip went viral real quick about Leonard Fournette throwing him the pass. Brady slips and falls. Of course, I have Fournette in both of my leagues, and he gets an interception for that. And Fournette also suffered a hip pointer. Tampa Bay does have a bye next week, so that will help him potentially get back on the field in time. But Rachaad White got the start. So the Rachaad White takeover is now complete. He is the de facto starter. You could say to me, okay, before the injury, Fournette, I think, had 14 touches to 11 for Rachaad White, and I'll accept that. But Rachaad White, 22 carries for 105 yards, 4.8 a carry. Fournette actually wasn't bad, 14 for 57, 4.1 a pop with a score. But, listen, Rachaad White is probably going to start the remainder of the season. So, I've been telling you for a while now, the transition was coming, and now it's here. And with Fournette banged up with a hip pointer, which is, sometimes a tricky injury to come back from, if you have shares in Leonard Fournette, it's going to be a rough finish to the season. Okay, so Geno Smith, another 2 touchdowns. All right, he's not going to turn back into a pumpkin, folks. Geno Smith is here to stay. They have a bye next week, Seattle, so you're going to have to find a replacement. But he was very good again today. Tom Brady, 22 with 29, 2 touchdowns and a pick. The Bucs are starting to find their mojo now. And Chris Godwin finally got into the end zone, 6 for 71 in a score. So he's feeling better week by week. We're starting to see glimpses of the old Godwin. I believe he had he had 8 targets. He's like 8 or more targets pretty much every single week this season. So Chris Godwin in PPR is, he's been doing his thing, 10 to 12 fantasy points on a weekly basis, but now he gets into the end zone, does 19 points in this one. Mike Evans, 5 for 54. Mike Evans is not completely healthy. He's very banged up. He's had multiple injuries already this season. He's gutting it out, but you can see that it's taking a toll on his game. He didn't score. It's an issue right now for his production the rest of the season. I have Everett. He has Gibson and Goddard. You think I'll win? I'm up by 13. You need Everett to get into the end zone, I think, to win that. It will be close. If he doesn't score, I think it still could be close, but Goddard's been really hot lately. When do you think Chase will come back? I think they're aiming for next week, W Money. So I think he's going to be back next week. Whether the injury flares up again, we don't know. We're sort of in a let's see if he can come back mode, and if not, we'll just shut him down. I think that's where we're at with Jamar Chase. Should I trade Mike Evans? Yeah, I would. He doesn't look healthy. He's aging. He's 30 years old. He's aging. I think wear and tear is starting to become a factor. Is Cooper Kupp injury season ending, or he comes back? I think it could be season ending. I don't know if you were around for the beginning of the show. And remember, guys, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe and like button, please, and the notification button. Sean McVay basically said it's a serious injury. He said it didn't look good and it didn't sound good. Those were his exact quotes. So coaches in the NFL don't give out information unless it's just downright obvious and there's nothing to lose. So for McVay to say that, I think it's a serious injury. All right, DK Metcalf, 6 for 71. Tyler Lockett, 3 for 42 and a touchdown. So once again, both Seattle receivers showed up in fantasy this week. Who would be a good trade for Evans? You could try Aaron Jones. I think coming off this game, I don't think you're going to get him, though. That may not work. Doing trading for a receiver one-on-one usually just doesn't work. That it could be the end of the Cup season for sure. But who knows? I mean, Joe, you could try Kenneth Walker for Mike Evans. That he may bite. Just trying to think of somebody else off the top. You're not going to get ETN. You got to go for like the running back twos. I think that's who you might be able to get. Also, do you know exactly what the injury is? It's an ankle injury. Could be broken, could be high ankle sprain, could be ligament damage, could be one of those 3 things. High ankle sprain, he'll be back in 3 to 4 weeks. A broken ankle, he's done. Now, I'm married to a physician assistant, so I always run these questions by my wife, who has been generally pretty good with offering me because obviously I'm not a doctor. I don't know these things, but I'll always say, hey, listen, what do you think about this? I'll show her the play. Is this guy done? What are we looking at? And, she'll give me her opinion on it. So Cliff Kingsbury wasn't sure the extent of the knee injury to Zach Ertz. He was wearing a brace in the locker room. So that was the other big one. Zach Ertz had a no-show performance. He got injured very early in the game for Arizona. Went off on a cart. He's got a brace on his leg. So it looks like Zach Ertz has an injury that needs to be updated tomorrow, get more testing done. But certainly that didn't look good either. So that's another big one because Arizona, Ertz has been a double-figure guy every week except for one, I believe. So, that was disappointing to see. Yeah, if you're a Cup owner, you're hoping it's a sprain. Do you think Gibson will have a good day tomorrow if they start playing him from behind? Listen, if they trail, they're going to put in Gibson. He's going to catch a bunch of passes. That's how it's going to go for Washington. Thoughts on James Conner, 2 TD performance? Listen, he was good. I think he's feeling more healthy now, more refreshed. The Arizona offense with Colt McCoy at quarterback, Rondale Moore has been great the last 3 weeks. DeAndre Hopkins has been uncoverable. And he went against Jalen Ramsey today, and he absolutely tore him apart. So I'm going to get to that game shortly. Kenneth Walker. So Kenneth Walker, only 10 for 17 running the ball, but he caught 6 passes for 55 yards. So if this is going to be the norm now moving forward, where Kenneth Walker can catch 4 to 6 passes, he's a top 5 running back the rest of the season and next season as well. It's been 2 straight weeks where he hasn't run the ball really well. But again, if he can start catching passes, Kenneth Walker is going to be just fine. All right, so let's move on to what's the next game I want to look at here. All right, Minnesota, Buffalo. God, this game was unbelievable. And already the ESPY is going to be won by Justin Jefferson for catch of the year. Even Odell Beckham's catch pales in comparison to the one-handed in between the defender's hands of Buffalo. I forgot who the defender was. The one-handed grab Justin Jefferson made was downright silly, ridiculous, defies the laws of physics. You owe it to yourself if you didn't see it to go take a look at that. And for the game, Jefferson 10 for 193 and a touchdown. So here we are now. Cooper Kupp possibly facing a serious injury. Those who drafted Justin Jefferson ahead of Cooper Kupp, now it looks like the right call. And that's where we are sometimes in fantasy football. From week to week, things change. And Justin Jefferson has put forth 3 or 4 of these insane performances on the season, and he does it against Buffalo, the best defense, in my opinion, in the entire NFL. Wow. I mean, just a special talent. So all that chatter, and I was on board with this to draft Justin Jefferson ahead of Cooper Kupp and even number 1 overall. He's justifying it right now. Kirk Cousins, I got a lot of questions on Cousins about whether to start him this week. I said to start him, when it came to, him or Daniel Jones. I think that was one of the questions I got. Yes, start Cousins in this game. He was 30 for 50, only threw the 1 touchdown, but 357 yards. So that helped make up for the lack of touchdowns. He did get picked off twice, ran for 12 yards. So it was another workman-like performance for Kirk Cousins. Adams for Amari Cooper and Waddle. So if you're getting Adams, Cooper, and Waddle, I mean, that's a lot. But, Devontae Adams is uncoverable. So I think I would do that, but then again, Deshaun Watson is coming back. If you have good receiver depth, I would do it, Joe. Josh Allen, 29 for 43, 330, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He ran for 84 yards. So the fantasy points were there, had a couple of injury scares in the game. He made it through. I still think it was reckless for Buffalo to put him out there. It was way too risky. They lost the game anyway. So, the upside wasn't there. Vast downside, especially when Allen looked like he got injured again late in the game. But he wound up gutting it through. Dalvin Cook, 14 for 119 and a touchdown. Where has this been all season? 3 catches for 20 yards. I think W Money. I think Dalvin Cook is going to be fine the rest of the year. He got off to a slow start in this game too. But Dalvin Cook gets better the more work he gets. So. He's starting to approach that danger zone age for a running back. I think next season I'm definitely out on Dalvin Cook. I think he's either 26 or 27 right now. And then next season, obviously, he'll be a year older. I'll be a little bit more concerned about him. But he was good today. Devin Singletary made the most of his carries, 13 for 47, 2 touchdowns, only 1 catch for 0 yards. It's a low-end running back 2 world for Devin Singletary is what it is. Adam Thielen, 5 for 49. He's being left behind by TJ Hawkinson, who went 7 for 45. A lot of targets for TJ Hawkinson. And this was a shootout, no matter how you look at it. Stephon Diggs, 12 for 128. My God, if you own Stephon Diggs, I mean, it's like a cheat code every week. Even Gabe Davis, 6 for 93 in a score. If you were an offensive player in this game, you balled out pretty much. That's how this game went. It was just unbelievable. The flip side of that, Tennessee 17, Denver 10. I mean, what a disgrace Russell Wilson has become. I mean, 21 of 42, 286, a touchdown and a pick. Ran for only 8 yards on 7 carries. His speed is shot. His arm is shot. The guy is shot. This Denver offense is just pathetic. I'm not even going to talk about Tennessee. It was just a joke. You know, the running back situation in Denver, Murray got 9 carries, Gordon 7, Edmonds 2. So Chase Edmonds, there was at least a tiny bit of intrigue. Okay, he's in a new locale in Denver that struggles at running back. Not happening. Nothing doing there. Derrick Henry, only 19 for 53. Not a great day for him. He caught 2 passes for 14 yards. It was a rare off day for him. Nick Westbrook-Akine, 5 for 119 for 2 touchdowns. That was a little bit of a fluke. Treylon Burks, 3 for 24. I think Treylon Burks is going to need a couple of weeks to get himself up to speed. You know, I just hate this Tennessee offense. I really do. You know, I mean, they're winning games. They're 6-3. It's working for them, but they're very limited. Cortland Sutton, 6 for 66. Jerry Jeudy did not catch a pass. He was one of the first injuries of the day. I believe it was an ankle injury, and it looks like it could be he might be missing games with this injury. It looked to be pretty serious. You know, the fact that he didn't come back into the game and was removed pretty quickly. That's another one that we have to look at tomorrow. All right, Chiefs moved to 7-2 on the season. Pat Mahomes. I was going against Pat Mahomes in that one league that I'm frustrated in. Thank God I survived it. 26 of 35, 331, 4 touchdowns and 1 pick. I mean, listen, the Kansas City Chiefs don't even pretend. They have no interest in running the football. I know Isaiah Pacheco went 16 for 82, but you know, it was just bad. I mean, and how about this? Clyde Edwards-Helaire, not a single carry, not a single catch, a complete bagel. Remember, guys, in September I said trade Clyde Edwards-Helaire. His touchdown percentage was so fluky, it was ridiculous. And now, listen, it looks like Isaiah Pacheco, who averaged 5.1 a carry, is going to be the clear de facto starter. Jerick McKinnon only got 1 carry. So if you've been holding Pacheco this whole time, now I think we could maybe be interested in using him. Trevor Lawrence, 26 of 35, 331, 4 touchdowns. So Trevor Lawrence, this is the number 1 overall pick, Trevor Lawrence. Very, very happy with this performance. Christian Kirk, the beneficiary, 9 for 105, 2 scores. Even Zay Jones went 8 for 68. Those were the 2 guys that really, you know, did the majority of the work. Evan Engram, he didn't come in right physically, 3 for 14. It was a dud of a performance for him. Travis Etienne, after a string of really impressive performances, did nothing today. 11 for 45 in the running game, 3 for 28 in the passing game. Just a rare off day for him. Nothing to read into that. It was just one of those days. Travis Kelce, 6 for 81 in the score. Marcus Valdes-Scantling, 3 for 60 with a score himself. Kadarius Toney, 4 for 57 in a score. So Macaulay Hardman was injured. Juju Smith-Schuster, 2 for 33, went out with a very scary injury. I haven't seen any updates on Juju Smith-Schuster. Looked like a clear concussion to me. Very scary. You know, the hands went up and everything. So he had that Tua Tagovailoa reaction when he got hit in the head. So it was just a cheap shot too. You know, whoever did that is going to get fined. Defenseless receiver, very scary. You know, you hate seeing that. Juju's been very good lately. The timing was terrible. It was, you know, nothing. And this is the thing too, guys, in fantasy. When one of your players, your key players, goes out early in a game like that, it's very difficult. Your chances of winning drop by, like, I think at least 25%, maybe even more when a key player goes out early like that. What do you think of Jaylen Warren today? I'm going to get to that one next. So, yeah, Christian Kirk, you know, it's been inconsistent for him. You know, he had the big start, then he went through that extended lull, and now he's back to doing his thing again. So, you know, I'm happy to see that. If Isaiah Pacheco is available on waivers, you pick him up this week. If Kadarius Toney is available on waivers, you pick him up this week as well. All right, let me get to that Pittsburgh game. because Jaylen Warren, there was a lot of whispers about Jaylen Warren getting more work this week at the expense of Najee Harris. And, of course, Najee Harris goes out and rushes 20 times for 99 yards and a score, 5 a carry. And then did he catch any passes? Did he not catch any passes? Najee, so he didn't even catch a pass. Wow. So, but Harris was good. You know, he went into the blue tent briefly, but then he came back out. So his first good game of the season. Maybe the Mike Tomlin was simply trying to light a fire on under Harris, and he certainly responded with all this talk about Jaylen Warren. And listen, Jaylen Warren was good. 9 for 37, 4.1 a carry. He caught 3 passes for 40 yards. So, you know, I mean, listen, he wasn't awful. What is that? 7, so 8, 9, 10. So 10 fantasy points. I mean, not great. If you started him, you know, you wanted a little bit more. But the potential is obviously there. But the fact that Harris had a good day today, I don't think Warren is going to unseat him just yet. 20-9 was a carry discrepancy. 20-12 was a touch discrepancy between the two. So it's getting a little bit closer together, but still, I was really hoping to see Warren do a little bit more in this game. Andy Dalton, I did a separate video. I think Andy Dalton's going to get benched. He did. I think that Andy Dalton just was bad again. For the second week in a row. That's going to allow Jameis Winston, I believe, to be put back into the lineup, which is bad news for Alvin Kamara owners. And Kamara, only 8 for 26 running the football, 3 catches for 19 yards. We know Jameis doesn't throw to his running backs. So if he's going to get back into the starting lineup, Winston, it's going to hurt Alvin Kamara. So, yeah, you're right, Michael. He did outscore Najee Harris. Harris had 9 points. Warren had 10. So, I mean, listen, that getting back to Warren, he had the better day. So, I'm sure I'm going to get some guff from the people I said start Warren. He didn't get enough work, but yada, yada, yada. But you know what? It wasn't an awful outing, that's for sure. Could it have been more? Yes, I definitely expected more there. Juwan Johnson, not getting a lot of attention, but 5 for 44 and a touchdown. He's been consistently good this season. Chris Olave only 3 for 40, so a rare dud for him. So this Saints offense is frustrating. The Taysom Hill thing is over, guys. I hate to say it. It was fun while it lasted, but Juwan Johnson, especially doing his thing now, it was fun. He gave us a couple of thrills, but the Taysom Hill thing is dead, unfortunately. I'm going to be 8-2. Cup and Judy went down. I had Fields and Burrow. What do you think I can get for Fields? Yeah, Killa, I actually think you might want to think about trading. But listen, I would offer both of those guys and see what you can get more out of. Because you're 8-2. I know it's safer to have Burrow, but Fields is just doing insane stuff right now. I would ask for almost anybody right now. If you're a Justin Fields owner, and I have to wrestle with this too because I have Lamar Jackson in both of my leagues too, and he hasn't been very good over the last month plus. Try to gauge and see what you can get for Fields because people are going to pay now. He's gone over 40 points the last 2 weeks. I know it's harder to get equal value for quarterbacks in single quarterback leagues. In super flex leagues, you can absolutely name your price. In single quarterback leagues, you may not get the value because, you only need 12 good quarterbacks around the league to go around. So I would definitely see what you can get for both of those guys and take the highest offer. All right, where was I up to here? Jacksonville. All right, so Cleveland and Miami. So I mentioned Tua Tagovailoa. He absolutely is in the MVP consideration. The guy is as locked in as anybody I've seen in a long time. 25 for 32, 78% accuracy, 285 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, flawless performance. I remember watching, and I watch all college football games. Watching Tua in college with Alabama, it was staggering to me every week. He put games like this routinely every single week. 25 for 29, 32 for 37, 34 for 38, 300 plus yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. He's now doing that in the NFL. So Tua Tagovailoa, video game numbers in college, he's putting up video game numbers now in the NFL. And Tyreek Hill got into the end zone, 5 for 44, and didn't exactly light it up, but got into the end zone. Jalen Waddle, 4 for 66, 10 fantasy points. So the key receivers on Miami didn't exactly go nuts, but Tua Tagovailoa is a top 10 fantasy quarterback. Actually, I think he's more like a top 7 fantasy football quarterback right now. I would actually take him over Joe Burrow rest of season. And absolutely 100%. All right, how about this? Jeff Wilson, 17 for 119 in a score. Holy crap. He is taking over this job. Raheem Mostert, listen, Mostert was good too. 8 for 65 in a score. And Mostert, I believe, he caught 4 for 22. Jeff Wilson, 2 for 24 in the passing game. Here's the thing. This is my take on the Wilson Mostert thing. Mike McDaniel realized that, you know what? I'm using Raheem Mostert a little bit too much. Chase Edmonds sucks, so I have to use Mostert a lot. But I know he's got an extensive injury history. I have to get somebody else now, and I got to start giving Mostert a breather if I want him around for the playoffs. Hence, they bring in Jeff Wilson, very capable Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson and Mike McDaniel used to coach at the San Francisco 49ers, and now Wilson is becoming the starter, 17-8 advantage over Mostert. This is being done by Mike McDaniel to keep Mostert upright, to keep him off the injured list, so that he can have him for the postseason. I think it's genius. It's a great move. Miami is 7-3. They have their franchise quarterback. They have 2 franchise receivers, and now they got 2 running backs who can break tackles, who can take it the distance. This team is getting scary, folks. It really is. Let's see. It's Nick Chubb. He did score, and that was pretty much it for him. 11 for 63. It was a light day. Cleveland fell behind early. The script wasn't there for him. He did catch 3 balls for 18 yards, though. Kareem Hunt, only, in a game like this where the Browns had to throw, Kareem Hunt, 6 for 9 rushing and only 1 catch for 10 yards. He is a clear bench guy right now. You can't use him. You just can't use him. Think Kamara and Davis for Jeff Wilson or Swift. Oh, Michael, if you're trading Kamara and Davis for Jeff Wilson, that's a lot. I wouldn't trade those guys for Jeff Wilson, and I wouldn't trade for DeAndre Swift either. So the New York Giants, my New York Giants are 7-2. Holy crap! I can't even believe what I'm seeing. Now it is the Houston Texans for sure. And Daniel Jones, 13 for 17, 197, but he threw 2 touchdowns and ran for 24 yards. So he made the most of his throws. And the Giants, listen, they're getting it done. Dameon Pierce, 17 for 94. 2 catches for 28 yards. He didn't score last week. He didn't score this week. Dameon Pierce, it's going to be tough for him to score. There is a capped ceiling for Pierce, as good of a runner as he is, just because it's going to be tough for him to get into the end zone. Saquon Barkley, comeback player of the year, 35 carries for 152 yards and 1 touchdown, 1 catch for 8 yards. Couple of things on this. If you're a Barkley owner, you don't want to see 35 carries. That's a lot. Guy's got a really extensive injury history. To see Barkley get that many carries was a little excessive to me. Matt Breida went 6 for 20. They could have given him a few more. And Trevor, I'm going to get to the Green Bay game momentarily. Oh, man. Avery lost by a field goal. That's rough, man. That's tough. Hey, I lost a game this year by less than 0.3. So I hear you. But anyway, Saquon Barkley, I think that was ludicrous that they gave him that many carries. Not a good idea for somebody who has such an extensive injury history for sure. And also, he only caught 1 ball. He's got 29 catches this season. Remember, as a rookie, I believe Barkley caught about 90 passes. If somebody can remind me of that. All right, let me just see this. So Zach Ertz, spotted in a brace after Arizona's win, is expected to miss multiple weeks with a knee injury he suffered today. The team does suspect his ACL is intact. However, he will undergo an MRI on Monday to determine the full extent of the injury. Holy shit. So Zach Ertz will miss multiple weeks with a knee injury, and they suspect the ACL is intact, but they're not sure. So Zach Ertz, oh, man, I like Zach Ertz too, man. I really do like Zach Ertz. That's a tough one. That's a tough one to swallow, folks. It really is. Double-digit points on a weekly basis. Yeah, Michael P., this is a bad day for injuries. Cooper Kupp, Zach Ertz, Jerry Jeudy. It's just on and on and on it goes. I mean, this is crazy. But anyway, getting back to Barkley, I believe he caught 90 passes as a rookie. Why does he only have 29 receptions? I thought the talk during the summer was Brian Daboll, they're going to give him a lot of carries. He's going to be excuse me, a lot of catches. He's going to be doing all these things. I mean, that was terrible. I mean, I can't believe that he's only got 29 catches on the season. All right. All right. I'm sorry the banging, guys. I got little kids upstairs. That's what happens. Darius Slayton 3 for 95 and a touchdown. Good stuff there. Brandon Cooks 4 for 37. It's just not happening there for him. He's checked out. All right. Let's see. Indianapolis. Jeff Saturday won his debut. Listen, this got destroyed by everybody, his hiring. Bill Cowher went absolutely ballistic on NFL Today before the games. He was disgusted with this hiring. He said it's a joke that they hired him over John Fox. The other gentleman that I can't remember his name, that's also a former coach on the staff. But he won the game. So Jeff Saturday's 1-0 now as a coach. And they went back to Matt Ryan. Michael Pittman fantasy owners rejoice. And Ryan was good. 21 for 28, 222 yards and a touchdown. Got the job done. And as far as Michael Pittman is concerned, 7 for 53. So, what is that? 12.3 fantasy points. So not great, but certainly so much better than what he did with Ellinger with that whole disaster. So if you're a Michael Pittman owner, you have to feel good, going forward that Matt Ryan is back under center. And how about this? Jonathan Taylor, finally, the old Jonathan Taylor showed up, 22 for 147 and a touchdown. He really should have had a second touchdown. Stop at like the 1-inch line that Matt Ryan, pushed it in there. 6.7 per carry. Taylor also caught 2 balls for 16 yards. So he looked spry. He looked explosive. He had good speed. So listen, maybe the ankle is finally feeling better. And hopefully, this happened with Saquon Barkley a number of years ago, one of his injury-plagued seasons where, he had an injury early in the year, missed a couple of games. I think it was an ankle. And then he got healthy. And then he went ballistic in December and and I won one of my leagues that year with Barkley because he went crazy in December and in the fantasy playoffs after being nicked up earlier in the year. I think Jonathan Taylor can absolutely do that. And it's crazy to say this, but he now, considering how bad he's been the last couple of weeks, could be a true difference maker the rest of the way. Michael Gallup got injured early, but he did come back into the game. Derek Carr, 24 for 38. 248 and 2 touchdowns. I mean, the Raiders are 2-7. Josh McDaniels just sucks at coaching football. Josh Jacobs, 21 for 78 on the ground, only 3.7 a carry. This was just really workload related in terms of his points. He did score a touchdown, caught 6 passes for 28 yards. So 2 straight duds coming into the game. At least he reversed that trend. And Devontae Adams does what only a few receivers in the NFL can do. 9 for 126 and a touchdown. You can't cover this guy. He's just amazing. He really is. All right, let me get to that Green Bay game. So Les, I'm not watching this Chargers game right now. I'm just curious. Who scored? It was DeAndre Carter. Okay. All right. So I'm just curious. Did Gerald ever catch any passes in this game? Because I have him. 2 for 23. All right. Not bad. All right. Let me get to Green Bay. That's okay. There's 2 more games to go. All right. So I think somebody asked me about Aaron Jones. Ezekiel Elliott looks stressed out, missing his second week. Good. I want him to stay out. And I'm going to talk about Tony Pollard in a minute. Paris Campbell's getting a lot of targets. You think that has any weight? Listen, you really don't want to use a lot of Indianapolis receivers. I really draw the line at just Michael Pittman. He's been good for a month now, Paris Campbell, but he's still a little inconsistent. I wouldn't put – if you're in a 5-receiver league, maybe, but I wouldn't go to town on him for sure. Down 30 with Goddard and A.J. Brown left, and he has Gibson, half PPR. Do I have a chance? Half PPR. If it was a full PPR, I would think you'd have a better chance, but I think it's going to be tough, Luka. DeAndre Carter. Yes, I just saw that. All right, so Aaron Rodgers was frustrated throughout this game. Only 14 for 20 passing, 224, but he threw 3 touchdowns. So Aaron Rodgers, fantasy points were there. Love this. Aaron Jones, 24 carries, 138 yards, 5.8 a pop. He scored a touchdown, 2 catches for 18 yards. This is what I've been screaming about all year. Take the wheels off Aaron Jones. Give him 20-plus carries. Look what happened. You won the game against Dallas, a good team. You finally let Aaron Jones do his thing. Now, even A.J. Dillon wasn't terrible, 13 for 65, but I think that's still too many carries to give him. And how about this? Christian Watson drops an early touchdown pass, comes back 4 for 107, 3 scores. Holy cow. If he's sitting there on waivers, he's a priority. Isaiah Pacheco, Christian Watson, those are 2 priority guys this week for sure. Do I think this can continue with Christian Watson? I think it can. Alan Lazard only 3 for 45, which was frustrating for me, but Aaron Rodgers has a good thing going with Watson. He loves his big play, deep receivers, his speedy receivers. He's been missing that with Devontae all year. So now I think Christian Watson, we got to, if you're an Alan Lazard owner like I am in one league, we might have to accept the fact that Watson's now the guy. CeeDee Lamb, 11 for 150, 2 touchdowns. He was uncoverable in this game. There's very few guys, Stephon Diggs, Devontae Adams, that can do what CeeDee Lamb can do as well. Worth his weight in gold fantasy-wise. Dalton Schultz, 6 for 54. And, of course, he scores because I played Gerald Everett in one of my leagues instead of Schultz. So, you know what? I figured it was only a matter of time until he scored. Just like Chris Godwin scored today, I traded him in a deal for DeAndre Hopkins in early on. Of course, Godwin scores because they traded him. But luckily, Hopkins came back and had more fantasy points slightly. Tony Pollard, 22 for 115, 1 touchdown. Receiving wise, 3 for 13. So this is the second time in 2 outings where Tony Pollard has completely went crazy because Ezekiel Elliott was out of the way. This could happen every week if they would just stop with this Ezekiel Elliott nonsense. He will be back next week, I believe. And then the frustration about Pollard's workload is going to increase once again. All right. Last game, Arizona. I'm a DeAndre Hopkins owner now for the first this week for the first time. I traded Chris Godwin and Rondale Moore for DeAndre Hopkins because I had Godwin on both leagues. I wanted to kind of break that up. And listen, Hopkins was good. Even though Colt McCoy was at quarterback, they threw a lot of short passes and Hopkins created 10 for 98. So Hopkins did well. Rondale Moore, 9 for 94. This is the 3rd straight week. Rondale Moore has gotten double-digit targets with Zach Ertz now looking at a serious knee injury. Could be an ACL. At the very least, it looks like he's going to probably miss a month or so. Rondale Moore is a safe guy to ride the rest of the way. Even eventually when Marquise Brown comes back, this is a pass-heavy offense. All these guys are going to ball out each week. All 3 of them need to be DeAndre Hopkins is a wide receiver 1. Rondale Moore in PPR is pushing to be a low-end wide receiver 2, and Marquise Brown is a wide receiver 2 in PPR when he gets back. James Conner, 21 for 69. He scored twice, caught 3 passes for 17 yards. This is the old James Conner. He looks spry. He looks like he's ready to have a good finish to the season. And, if you held on to him this long, kudos to you. All right, so Kyren Williams, only 1 carry for 9 yards. He caught 3 passes late for 30 yards, salvaged his day, 6+ fantasy points. Listen, again, I take the hit on that one. I bought into what McVay was saying during the week that they were getting ready to use him heavily. Instead, they gave 6 carries for 22 yards for Cam Akers, 6 carries for 21 yards and a score for Darrell Henderson. It was ridiculous the way they handled this. And I think with the situation with the Rams that they're just completely out of it now, I think that we're going to see more of that for Kyren Williams as we go along. I would certainly keep him on the bench and then, see what transpires from there. All right, guys, that's it for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. There will be a stream tomorrow because we're going to have to talk about Cooper Kupp. We're going to have to talk about Zach Ertz, all the medical reports that come in on that. So make sure you look for the notification. I will chat with all of you tomorrow. Have a great night. I will see you then.